On October 3, 2018, the police received a call from a woman named Jessy Kurczewski, informing them that she had found 62-year-old Lynn Hernan dead in a chair in her living room in her apartment in Yuki, Wisconsin. Jessy was Lynn's caregiver, as Lynn had significant health issues. When the police arrived, they found Lynn dead in her chair, but they were struck by the large amounts of medication scattered around her. Did Lynn die naturally? Did she commit suicide? Or are there criminal suspicions surrounding her death? Who could be the killer? And what would be the motive for killing an elderly and sick woman? Lynn suffered from lung disease, high blood pressure, and severe gastrointestinal problems that doctors were unable to fully diagnose. She had been in and out of the hospital several times in the year before her death. Jessy was always with Lynn, as she had become responsible for her full-time care and had gained Lynn's trust. She did the shopping for Lynn and paid her bills. Lynn had worked all her life as a hairdresser, and due to the nature of her job, she always cared about her appearance, nails, and jewelry. She made sure to look beautiful all the time, but after her illnesses, she could no longer maintain that. She preferred isolation, staying alone most of the time, and interacting with as few people as possible. She was not in the best physical or mental condition. At the scene of Lynn's death, investigators noticed a large quantity of medications around her, including uncapped drugs and white powder on her chest. Detective Kokas photographed the many scattered medications on the carpet, as well as the white powder on a plate and on Lynn's chest. Jessy mentioned that it was common for Lynn to crush her medications due to her swallowing issues. Of course, the investigators did not take Jessy's word for granted and collected samples of the medications at the scene, sending them to the forensic lab along with samples of Lynn's blood. Before announcing the cause of death, Dr. Linda awaited the results of the toxicology test. When the results arrived weeks later, there was a surprise. An unusual substance appeared in the report that she had never seen before in her facility, called tetrahydrozoline. Dr. Linda began her own research on tetrahydrozoline, a drug found in some over-the-counter eye drops. This raised suspicions since this substance had never appeared in a toxicology report before and should not be in the blood. Dr. Linda's report concluded that the cause of death was tetrahydrozoline poisoning. Where did this substance come from? And did Lynn take it intentionally, or was it given to her deliberately? One investigator said Lynn was unknowingly taking this medication voluntarily, indicating that the person giving it to her was someone she trusted. Suspicion naturally fell on her caregiver, Jessy, who was put on trial to defend herself. According to medical opinion, the scene around Lynn Hernan's body was staged to make it appear as though she had taken a fatal overdose with the intent to commit suicide. Toxicology reports showed that none of the powdered medications found next to Lynn and scattered on her body were actually present in her blood, meaning she did not ingest them. On October 23, 2023, in Judge Jennifer Dora's courtroom, Jessy Kurczewski, 39, was tried for the intentional murder of 62-year-old Lynn Hernan. The central question of the trial was, what would motivate Jessy to kill Lynn? The investigation focused on whether Jessy had a motive to murder Lynn. The prosecutors in Waukesha County were Deputy District Attorney Abby Nicoli, Assistant District Attorney J.J. Crawford, and Randy Steisberger. The trial began with a statement from Prosecutor Randy Steisberger. Today, we are faced with a case of murder, greed, and deceit. You'll see that around October 3, 2018, or thereabouts, Lynn became more valuable dead than alive to Jessy. Between January 2016 and October 3, 2018, Jessy managed to steal over $144,000 from Lynn while she was still alive. Randy continued, stating that Lynn Hernan died at the age of 62 due to tetrahydrozoline poisoning after Jessy gave her a bottle filled with eye drops to drink, trusting it was medicine and not a deadly poison. Jessy's defense attorneys, Paulo Galvez and Donna Kushler, objected to this theory, presenting Jessy as a close friend of Lynn rather than just her caregiver. They argued that Lynn had been a friend of Jessy's mother, Jennifer, and that Jessy had devoted 2 years to helping and caring for Lynn as a friend. However, it was Lynn's health conditions that led her to a severe psychological state, eventually causing her to take her own life and commit suicide. The defense attorney also presented photos of the high school graduation party Lynn hosted for Jessy. Lynn considered Jessy her daughter. Upon mentioning her close relationship with Lynn, Jessy immediately burst into tears. The trial continued to uncover more facts. The court called some of Lynn's friends to testify, including her friend Jim Kelleher, who said he met Lynn in 1983 at a music concert. Lynn was 27 years old at the time, and so beautiful that Jim thought she wouldn't agree to date him, but she did, and they dated for 10 years. Even after they broke up, they remained friends. Jim stated, "Lynn was a beautiful lady, beautiful inside and out." Jim said he only met Jessy after Lynn's death. He added, "I received a phone call from Jessy, and she said, 'I have some bad news. Lynn committed suicide. By the way, we're having dinner at Open Flame Restaurant on Tuesday.'" Jessy said all this in one sentence without crying. Jim didn't believe her initially because of how casually she spoke. Despite the horrendous situation, Jim noted that he couldn't believe Lynn would take her own life, as she never spoke of suicide or displayed any suicidal tendencies in front of him. He mentioned that despite her increasing frustration due to her health issues, she used to visit him and his girlfriend at their home, bringing desserts and other items. However, the defense questioned how much Jim knew about Lynn's health struggles in her last year of life, as she was frequently in and out of the hospital and was discharged for the last time just 5 days before her death. The defense attorney asked, "Did you offer to take her home and take care of her cat while she was in the hospital?" Jim replied negatively. Corinne Boza, who had been friends with Lynn for 35 years, was also called to testify. Corinne's son, Anthony Boza, said he had a special bond with Lynn since childhood, calling her Aunt Lynn. Anthony mentioned that he would occasionally visit her as he studied at a nearby university, and they would go thrift shopping together. The last time they met was a month before her death, and despite her health condition, she seemed to be getting better. Anthony Boza stated in court, "She told me she was starting to feel better. She said, 'I'm okay, you know. I'm happy to be out again. We should do this more often.'" The plaintiffs presented a video of Jessy's meeting with Detective Cook. Jessy testified that 5 months after Lynn's death, and before the coroner had determined the cause of death, she and her mother Jennifer went to the sheriff's department to ask questions. Jessy wanted to know the results of the examination report regarding Lynn's death. Was it suicide or murder? The cause of death had been declared as an overdose, but Jessy asked Cook directly, "I want to know, is this suicide?" Cook was unable to provide a clear answer at that time. Jessy said that Lynn had expressed a desire to die many times, which was difficult for Jessy to hear. The defense presented a conversation between Jessy and another investigator named Chad Josephski, where Jessy mentioned that Lynn had probably taken a large number of pills, which was a plausible scenario. In her conversation with Cook, Jessy explained that her concern stemmed from fear that she would be suspected of killing Lynn or that the police would arrest and accuse her of the crime. On Monday, the jury watched a video recording of Jessy's conversation with Cook from 5 months after the death. Jessy explained that her concern was driven by fear that she would be suspected of killing Lynn or that the police would arrest and accuse her of the crime. Jessy was transferred to Waukesha County Jail in August 2019, where she recorded a call with her mother Jennifer about whether a specific video could be deleted from her iPad. Jessy asked her mother to destroy evidence. Police officer Brian Anderson, who was responsible for monitoring recorded calls, testified that Jessy's request was regarding a recording of her conversation with police investigators, which she indicated needed to be deleted immediately. The trial continued. Defense attorney Paulo Galvez testified that the defendant was not responsible for the death and was trying to help Lynn, emphasizing that investigations had not proven intent to kill or any real motive. He added that the situation was complex from both a psychological and health perspective, and Lynn was suffering greatly, leading to her decision to end her life. At the end of the trial, the jury found Jessy Kurczewski not guilty of murder, sparking widespread debate among case followers and the local community. Some considered the decision fair due to the lack of conclusive evidence proving the crime, while others believed Jessy should have at least been prosecuted for negligence.